that are violent or throwing threats around, we wouldn't count them among our number.
You won't count them among your number. Well, they're using the same exact. How do you feel about the term groomer?
What's a trans kid?
Well, anybody who sexualizes children
is
a groomer.
Do you think that just admitting that trans people exist and being like, maybe we should keep those kids from being bullied and let those kids be
boy or
accepted?
girl is the right name.
Is that sexualizing?
Boys and girls.
No.
Okay, because a lot of people just think that if you respect a kid's pronouns and their decision to identify a certain way, that makes them a groomer. And that's like it's basically.
I think the problem is that you can't really there's no nuance in the conversation. It's grooming when you're talking to kindergartners and first graders and second graders about their gender identity.
What about 15-year-olds? I used to see their pronouns. I was born a man, but I prefer to use feminine pronouns.
See, unless you're presenting both sides of the situation, I don't think it's really the function of the public schools to get in there and tell kids about gender ideology. The same way I don't think it's really the function of public schools to tell kids, about anything else that's so religion. We don't have children being educated on religious subjects in public schools.
I agree. I think that it should just be about respect.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not here to change anybody's idea about what a man or woman is, but respect is non-negotiable in a school. And if there are kids that, other kids that make fun of the trans kid or bully the trans kid or, post pictures of them online, teasing them behind their back, which does happen, I think that's bad. I think that's wrong. And I think people should stand up for that.
Right.
Just what's going on right now.
But that's how I feel about conservative kids. A lot of kids feel like they have to come out as conservative or Republican. And they get attacked, they get bullied.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm dead serious.
Some kid
I'm a tutor. So I'm a tutor and a nanny. And one of the families I work with is a conservative family. The boys are conservative, but they don't feel comfortable expressing those views at their private school in New York City. So to me, I see this issue from across the board. And I see, this as a lot of bullying over here, calling these people fascists, saying that Boston hates you. It's who's really the hateful side here,
you were there when I was talking to Chris about the neo-Nazi situation that we have here, right?
What is the neo-Nazi situation that you have here?
So there's this group. Do you want to show your pictures?
I mean, sure.
Okay, so I have to go on.
I am unfamiliar with the neo-Nazi situation in Boston.
Neo-Nazi situation in Boston. So, there's this group called NSC 131, National Socialist Club.
NSC 131.
And there was talk that they were going to be here doing protection for you guys. It's probably just a dumb rumor. One of their members was talking about it. But these are the people we're talking about.
Yeah, they don't. Those are not our people.
No, watch, wait. You'll see the flag they're waving. It's like a Nazi battle flag.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Those are
okay. Good.
Those are not our people.
Because a lot of the people that are out here are here because they thought these people were coming.
Yeah, no, I can understand.
It's not far off the mark because they've already shut down a drag queen story hour with a huge banner that said pedo scum off our streets. It's not that far. I mean, to be honest, even though you don't claim them, it's not that far off from what you guys are saying, right? You're using the same rhetoric of groomers. I don't know how much you talk about pedophiles.
I talk about pedophiles a lot.
You talk about pedophiles a lot. They talk about pedophiles a lot. I hate pedophiles just as much as you.
I think most people do.
But I think that a parent who decides to trust their kid when they say that they're trans, that's not a pedophile. I don't think a counselor is a pedophile.
No,
I don't think a lot of these teachers
do you think there's any trans housing by proxying happening with parents that want to have a trans child for clout or attention or whatever?
That's not.
You don't think that happens at all? What about the fanatic? How do you feel about drag kids, children under the age of 18 dressing up in drag, going out to clubs, performing?
Are you talking a 10-year-old or a 17-year-old?
10-year-old.
A 10-year-old.
10, 11, 12.
I don't think that's happened. What do you mean by drag? Are they just they're putting on a skirt, tutu?
Oh, well,
what are we talking?
So in one instance, there's one drag youth in New York City, for example, who's been been featured in prominently in major media, and the one thing that went viral was a video of him basically stripping on a stage at a gay bar in Brooklyn, not to completion, but taking things off and throwing them and collecting money. It's basically stripping, and that's sort of like what originally spawned the outrage and the conversation. And then we had other kids there's this one up in Montreal. His name is Queen Nemes. Queen Lactatia is what he goes by, his stage name. And he was photographed with a naked drag queen, adult drag queen, for Huck magazine.
That's a great idea, so I went and put something.
So it was a bit of a controversy there.
I mean, you're talking about a couple examples. You're not talking about a systematic thing.
Well, but these examples are being popularized and championed and cheerleaded as if it's some great wonderful thing.
I don't know, man. I hang out with a lot of trans people, and I've never heard anyone being like, "Hey, let's go to a kiddie drag show."
I think most trans people don't want that in their space.
Yeah.
Same way I think most gay people don't want kids in their spaces.
I also think trans people don't want this in their space as well.
Well, but I mean,
saying that that.
But I mean, this isn't. I mean, we're in a public space outside of a hospital
Obviously,
where
you're allowed
controversial
to do
procedures are happening. It's not like we're going to. We did go to New York City Pride, and we walked around with the billboards and stuff. We talked to people. We got some flack, but then we got a lot of support too. It's kind of generally 9 out of 10 people that talk to Chris tend to agree with his positions.
Sure, but I think the broader thing is here is that there's a broad movement against the gender ideology. And there's you guys, and you got some gay folks, and you got some trans folks on your side. You're okay with people who are transitioning over the age of 18, and that's fine. I agree with you in all those instances. But some people worry that you guys provide cover for all the people who are want to kill us, who want to take their AR-15 and shoot up a drag queen event. Those people are out there, man. They do exist. There's a nasty side to this anti-trans ideology stuff that I don't think you guys are getting.
No, I mean,
I don't think you guys are part of.
I think those things definitely exist.
You provide cover for it. That's just what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't know how we provide cover other than we're out. We all universally denounce violence or any sort of violent activity.
Yeah.
Like the bomb threat, totally not going to help.
Cool.
It's not going to help.
It's not helping.
Exactly. It doesn't do anything good, and it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
So generally against violence, and I think this is actually the most productive thing that we can do is go out, talk to people, stream, share videos. And just increase awareness of the fact, a lot of people don't know that they're, transitioning youth. And as far as I'm concerned, we can have trans adults, but I don't think we have trans kids. Because
you think we have trans kids?
No, because to be trans, you have to go through the process of transitioning, and I think you have to, be an adult to go through that process, because otherwise you don't really know that it's right for you.
What about kids who socially transition? Maybe they don't take any blockers, maybe they don't do any of that stuff, but they just ask their friends, hey, can I be referred to as they, them? Or she, her. I prefer that way, and I prefer to present in a certain way.
I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I think that's fine, but it's sort of a step on the path to medicalization.
But what if they just wait till they're 18? What's the problem with that?
Well, the problem really is that we have 19 to 25-year-olds that have transitioned, that have detransitioned, that were sort of herded through the medical process.
Yeah.
Well, I've talked to 2 detransitioners, both one male to male and one female to female again, and both of them were adults when they transitioned. So one was actually 28, so he was even well over the age of 25, just happened to be gay, didn't figure it out until a few years later, after he'd medically transitioned.
He was like, I don't want this.
Right.
Yeah.
So now he's basically a gay man who's fully transitioned, but also trying to navigate what's the proper way to go, because he's had top and bottom surgery.
Yeah.
So now he's got to figure out which hormones do I take. Do I take both? It's complicated.
I fully support anyone who decides to detransition at the end of the day, but I don't know. My take on it is I have two very good friends who are trans. I have one of my friends started transitioning at 22. The other one, she came out to her parents when she was 12. But both of them knew very early, in their teens, that they were trans. Both of them knew that about themselves. And they feel better about themselves and they feel mentally better about themselves now that they have transitioned. I don't know. Do you think you agree that for some people transitioning works, right?
Yeah,
It's good for them.
yeah. And I've also spoken with trans people who choose to stay transitioned.
Yeah. I think most people.
So I think there is like a percentage, but right now I feel like we're sort of not letting the doctors make the decision. They're just sort of herding them to the medicalization process, which we're already seeing the downstream results, like in like subreddits like /dtrans. You got 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds complaining that they've been on puberty blockers and they feel like freaks now because they've been medicalized. It's a mess. And until we have some sort of like reasonable compromise on the issue where like we accept, yes, some people can be trans, but not all these people with gender dysphoria-like symptoms are necessarily going to need it.
Yeah, I think it's something like 90% of them just don't end up even transitioning at all.
Right. But they're putting all the kids on puberty blockers, but then 98% of those kids go on to cross-sex hormones.
And you have to take to be under 18 and to get on puberty blockers. It's quite a process.
I think it depends on where you are.
It's quite a process. Here in Massachusetts, you need to be in therapy for years before you end up on puberty blockers.
Well, there's been stories of some people going into a Planned Parenthood and walking out with a testosterone prescription.
Just their first time ever talking about it.
Yeah, not even like a 2-hour consult. So I think we need to have more restriction on it and more watchful waiting. But yeah, I think people should be allowed to have it eventually, totally. But I just think we should be a little bit more hesitant to go down that road, especially with the kids and the minors.
What's your shtick here? You're not here with Billboard Chris or Sidewalk Steve, are you?
No, I've had Billboard Chris on the show before. I have a podcast called Dangerous Rhetoric. So I'm just live streaming because Chris said he was going to be here, and then we heard there was going to be some Antifa-inspired counter-protests.
That's me, baby.
Well, I mean, you don't seem like our standard Antifa. You're having a conversation. You're being relatively
I just want to see what this
chill.
spiel is. And again, we're not going after you guys. You're not our primary target. It's the people who've been showing up to the drag queen story hour rat things and flying banners on Route 1 Jews did 9/11. We're looking for those people. We're not we're not trying to get you, really.
I feel you. And I think it's important to speak out against those people because they have dangerous and hateful ideologies that tend to get violent.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of I see that a lot with the Antifa too. I see a lot of violent, Antifa folks, especially over on the left coast. I haven't seen it so much here. I'm based in New York City, so we have when I go to protest there, it's mostly safe. It's very peaceful, chill.
Where'd Chris go?
He's around somewhere. I mean, there's billboards, so he's still here.
Yeah.
He might have taken a bathroom break.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to talk to me again. I think I won my welcome with him.
Yeah, well, it happens.
It happens.
Can I do a side?
All right, break. Well,
thanks for talking, though.
Stay out of the heat. Don't dox me.
No problem. Do you want a card for the show?
No thanks.
All right.
Take care, man.
Yeah, you too. Stay safe. There's my officer. Hello. Hubba. Oh my gosh. There's Chris. I'm not sure why they're clapping.